This is the Barbados Today morning news for Wednesday, November 20th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary-Claire Williams. Prime Minister Mia Mottley has made it clear that no effort must be spared in resolving the problems at the Barbados Light and Power Company that has resulted in island-wide power outages for the past 2 days. Mottley met yesterday with Emera chairman and other officials to discuss the issue. She told a news conference at the end of the talks that the situation must be addressed as a matter of urgency.
We will work together to make sure that whatever is done, including 24-hour days, including multiple teams, that we will look and revisit every assumption that has been made that would otherwise see new generation capacity not coming on board for another 12 to 18 months. This, we believe, is not tenable. We are going to manage this over the course of the next few days, but we have enough information before us to know that the question will be whether they can procure immediately tomorrow generating capacity or whether they will have to rent in the interim for a few weeks, have the generating capacity brought on the island while they procure the permanent one that will give the country at least the comfort of another minimum of 30 megawatts of power, what they call the energy bridge.
Mottley said Barbados cannot afford to suffer such setbacks at a time when it is working towards redevelopment.
This government will not accept anything less than absolute resilience and redundancy in the provision of power to the people of this nation. We have worked too hard as a government over the course of the last 18 months to stabilize this nation from its greatest threat, which was in fact the value of our dollar and which would have decimated every household and every Barbadian business as we go forward. We have had to deal with other aspects of the lost decade, as we have come to call it, whether it is in terms of trucks, sanitation trucks that were not bought for over 10 years, whether it was relation to buses that were not bought for over 10 years, or even as I look at the generating capacity of the Barbados Light and Power, the last outside of the plant at Trent's, the last major generators bought in this country were in 2005. We cannot plan out this country's future on an if or a but, or on the basis of us hoping that we can continue to repair old plant that ought to be retired.
Meanwhile, Light and Power says the main cause of the problems over the past 2 days is the presence of contaminants in the heavy oil fuel which it uses to produce electricity. Managing Director Roger Blackman said this week's outages started with a switch failure in one of its Spring Garden substations. During the restoration process, there was a second outage on Tuesday morning with a fault on one of its generating units. Blackman says steps are being taken to correct the situation.
And we will also be looking at bringing in expertise to help us both from the standpoint of being able to effect repairs as pumps go down or equipment is affected, to have sufficient resources and expertise supplementing what we have to be able to effect those repairs as quickly as possible. So once again, apologies. We are working very hard to ensure that we don't have a recurrence, but it is a very delicate situation at the moment until the fuel situation is resolved.
And the general manager of the Barbados National Oil Company, James Brown, says they will no longer be importing the products that contributed to the problem. In addition to the power outages, some communities across the island have also been without water for the last few days. A statement last night from the Barbados Water Authority says water will be gradually restored to the areas fed from facilities which are presently working with electricity as the network distribution recovers. Work was continuing at Trent's and Waterford with a view to getting them online last night. BWA said this depended largely on the restoration of a stable electrical supply to those stations. In other news this morning, major road improvement projects are in the works for the St. Thomas constituency. Transport Minister Dr. William Duguid and MP Cynthia Ford toured the area yesterday. Duguid told reporters that one of the priorities is the road to Mount Hillaby, as the area is a major tourism attraction and access must be improved.
And we've asking that we put that in the estimates. It is a significant tourist attraction as being the highest point in Barbados, and we need to have that road done. It's a 1 kilometre road. We've measured it already, and we look to put that in our estimates for the following financial year. In addition, we went to Erie Court and saw that they need significant amounts of work for weeding and clearing the sides of the roads. And also, so many roads in Bridgefield and so on we didn't get to, but we have that put forward to be completed as well. But we obviously saw the issues that we're having here at Vaucluse as it relates to drainage. And I've asked a special project we put together so we can fix the area and the problem that we're having with drainage here on this Vaucluse area.
Duguid added that works will also be undertaken in other areas.
We're looking at doing Highway 1 and Highway 7, and that will include doing the mains for water as well. And we're also looking very shortly to do Wildy Road. We're looking to do 2 Mile Hill, and we're looking to do, what's the one by Price Smart? Green Hill as well. So we have lots of roads on the program and trying to get all these done as much as possible in this financial year and then take over a few to the next financial year.
Meanwhile, MP Cynthia Ford says there are a number of issues that need to be addressed in her constituency.
We have a lot of concerns in relation to the wells that have been closed off and the amount of and the volumes of water that are here. Sometimes this road is closed off, if you look at it in a cumulative way, for 3 months. And it was never a road like this because it was a plantation road, there was a factory here at Vaucluse, and this road has served for so many generations. But the water now that should be coming off the Duke's tenantry, that has been settling on the road for a long time because of what has taken place here near the racetrack. And therefore, I am happy that the ministers are here with me and the team for us to be able to see how we can mitigate what is happening here. As you can see, there are large openings of water with a lot of moss and so on. Of course, the vermin and the mosquitoes will settle here and create more problems.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. In news from the region, the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown has issued a demonstration alert for Dominica on the heels of protest earlier this week. The advisory, which was issued yesterday, says demonstrations and protests are expected ahead of the December 6 general elections, and recent demonstrations have involved the use of tear gas by the police. It says U.S. government personnel and others should exercise caution if planning to travel to Dominica over the next several weeks. The alert advised U.S. personnel to avoid demonstrations, monitor local media for updates, and keep a low profile and be aware of their surroundings. On the international scene, a Swedish prosecutor dropped a rape investigation against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. It ends the near-decade-old case that has sent the anti-secrecy campaigner into hiding in London's Ecuadorian embassy to avoid extradition. We get the details in this Reuters report.
A Swedish prosecutor says they are not proceeding with an investigation into an allegation of rape against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. The move came after a review of the evidence, with the deputy chief prosecutor saying that while the complainant's evidence was deemed credible and reliable, after nearly a decade, witnesses' memories had faded.
It's my assessment that all investigative steps that can be taken have also been taken. However, the evidentiary basis is such that the corroborating evidence is not sufficient to, in the way that is prescribed by the Supreme Court, deem that the description of the alleged criminal act can be proven.
The 48-year-old Australian citizen has repeatedly denied the allegations against him.
And that's news this morning, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Have a good morning.